Is there a right way to speak a language, or the common way is the right way?
Well, for those of us who study language formally, we make a distinction between the notion of language and then speech. Speech is what we use to communicate. Language is a kind of a standard. In some cases, it can be a very artificial one.
Mm-hmm.
For example, in formal English, we're taught certain rules that are just not at all observed in speech. So in terms of speaking a language correctly, the whole point of communication is to make yourself understood.
Right.
And in language itself, there's a lot of redundancy.
Mm-hmm.
So very frequently we may hear something that comes out as a jumble, and we can, through our language intuition and understanding of it, kind of make sense out of what the person is saying, even though it may, on the surface, seem to be grammatically incorrect.
Yeah.
The standard of grammaticality is usually based on a speaker's intuition to accept an utterance as being understandable.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, speakers' intuition have a very, very large field of comprehensibility.
Mm-hmm.
So the minute we start imposing standards, we leave the immediate field of linguistics and we actually kind of go to another level, which is the art of speaking, rhetoric.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, some people are, captivating speakers who can put the words together in a interesting and exciting way.
Yeah.
But the message that they are imparting is just presented in a more, shall we say, elegant form.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
In other words, it's still language. And what they're doing is they're still using speech.
Mm-hmm. So in a way, because I know they say slang, and some would argue that it considered the language, some would say it's not, but we also know that slang would creep into a language eventually and it would become a word.
Well,
So,
yes, a slang is kind of the slang is kind of it's kind of the dirty laundry of language. Slang is kind of, it's usually fads. Some of them, for example, will be incorporated and will become standard in the language, certain fads and that were current in vogue at an earlier period of time. Some of them will hang on. Lots of them, though, because there's this constant turnover and this constant area of innovation. A lot of them just, like any fad, will fade.
mm-hmm. Right.
So the connection between, that kind of the experimental stage of using some word metaphorically to express an idea or something, there's no really hard and fast rule as to whether it's going to be incorporated.
So
I guess it's kind of like playing the stock market.
all right. It's hard to know what will catch on and what not.
Exactly. Right.
Yeah, that's very interesting.